Now, in the first section, I'm going to introduce you to gns3 software. This is the main software that I'm going to use during my lessons, and you can download it for free from gns3.net. And you can see updates for gns3 every 4, 5, or 6 months, and that's very nice because they are very nice contributors that try to make their simulator better every day. Now, gns3 has some limitation. For example, we do not have access to all commands of switching. This is very sad, and they say this is because this is a simulator and it cannot, simulate the ASICs that are provided for Cisco switches. Okay, that's not big deal. We are not going to dive into switching commands in this series. I'm going to dive into, of course, the routing commands, and all routing commands are supported in gns3 software. That's very nice. Okay. I cancel out of this dialog box and go to edit menu. Two menu items are very important for us. First of all, I go to preferences. Here I have the ability to check some of very important features. For example, whenever you go to Dynamics, if you have installed this recently, you should go and test settings first. When testing settings, the Dynamics starts and it should work, and you can see a green message here that says Dynamics has successfully started. If you do not see this, you have to, provide the right path to the Dynamics executable in executable path to Dynamics, or check the port numbers or anything else that is, problematic during this. And the second thing I want to mention is here. In General tabs, you can go to Terminal Setting and you can see the terminal software that is used for connecting to routers. I'm going to use PuTTY, or I have, of course, Secure CRT. That's a better option for me. But first, I'm going to use PuTTY. That's a very nice and free, of course, telnet client. I can, of course, use telnet from Windows as well, but PuTTY is much better, I guess. The second thing I want to check is iOS image and hypervisors. You can see that I need to introduce some iOS images to gns3 software. I have downloaded some of these gns3 iOSs, and you can of course download iOS from Cisco website if you have purchased the Cisco router. And of course there are a lot of iOS images available in web that you can download it for free. Although some of them may be illegal, but I assume that you are using them for just training purpose. So I can click on this ellipse in front of image file dialog box, and now you can see that I have some iOSs in my iOS folder. I'm going to use 3725 mainly because this is a very stable and very nice iOS image to use with gns3. And if I want to have some switching features, of course, I can use 3725 as well. Okay, now you can see that this has an extension of VIN, and this is the extension that most iOS images have. And if I click on this, I will be presented with this dialog box that tells me you can uncompress this compressed image. And if I uncompress it, I will change the extension to image, and you will be you will have, of course, faster boot whenever you start your routers. I accept this and press yes, and this will uncompress it for me. Of course, you can use several software to uncompress. For example, 7-zip or WinRAR will uncompress this image, but this is okay for me. Okay. Now that it has added this image to itself, you can see that it has recognized the platform and the model correctly. I want to, of course, increase the RAM to 192 megabytes. This is a very better option, and click on save. You can see that this is added here, but it tells me that idle PC is not set. I'm not going to set idle PC right now. I want to calculate it using gns3 calculator. So I click on close. Now I click on this router sign here, and you can see that 3700 is not grayed out. That means I can add some 3700 routers to my environment. So I drag one of these into my environment and drop it here. Whenever you do this, you will have the name R and the number incremented by the number of routers that you add to your environment. Okay, I close this dialog box, and now I have my router 1 here. I right click on my router and click on configure. Here I can configure my routers, slots, and memory, and anything else. Because I have added 192 megabyte by default, I don't want to change it here. You can change it even if you have added, the default value for RAM. But 192 is okay, I guess. I go to slots. This is the main part that I want to configure whenever I add a router into my topology. And you can see that there is 2 fast Ethernet by default added to my router. If I want to add more interface slots, I can see that in slot 1 I have fast Ethernet. 40s are for serial interface. 16 ESW means switching ports. And the others, I don't want to use them, of course. Mainly I use serial or switching. Now, of course, I have WIC serial ports here. If I want to add, I can add WIC2T. That means 2 serial interfaces added to my router. Okay. Now I click on OK. And if I hover my mouse over my router, you can see that I have 2 serial interfaces, serial 00 and 1, both empty because I haven't connected this to any other router, and 2 fast Ethernets, they are empty as well because I haven't connected to any other router. Okay, now I want to start my router. I right click on my router and go to start it. This router gets it starts, and you can see the sign on the right side that gets green. Now I right click on router 1 and click on console. The console, that is a PuTTY window, opens, and you can see the router is booting. And after it boots, I hit enter several times, and you can see that now I'm in a privilege mode. Okay, this is because the base config takes me to privilege mode, not user mode. I'm going to talk about privilege and user modes and other modes that are available in iOS. Wait a second, and if I right click on my taskbar and click on Start Task Manager on Linux, of course you will have other process that shows you the tasks that are available. If I go to performance, you can see that 29-30% of my CPU time is being used. This is of course because I have a quite strong CPU. If you have a weaker CPU, you can see this is in higher values. So I want to make it less, because if I want to start several routers, this will pick to 100. I don't want it. So I minimize this. I make sure that there is nothing happening in this console. I minimize the console again. I right click on router 1 and go to start idle PC here. Idle PC starts and tries to calculate the best value for idle PC, and after a second you can see a dialog box that here suggests you some values for idle PC. Some of those values have asterisks, and these are the best values that are available. You should use the best and least values, that are the numbers that are closest to have less value here. So I click on this, I click OK, and the idle PC is set for my router. If I check my task manager, I can see that I have a reduced number in the CPU usage. That's okay. If you do not see this, you should try to run idle PC again and see the value. This is run once, and you do not have to run it again because idle PC is set for you right now. Okay. Now I want to save this configuration as the first topology I'm going to work with. So I go to File and Save Project, and you can see that this says you should stop your devices before saving. I click on yes, the device is stopped. I save iOS startup configuration. I save environs, of course. And if I want to have, for example, Wireshark captures, I can click on Save Traffic Captures as well. I have to introduce some project folder for this. I guess I will do it here in gns3, for example, in test, in eMoney, in a folder. I will create a folder that is PR CCNA Labs, and I select the folder, and now I name it CCNA Labs. Of course, whenever I try to rename it, you can see that the project directory is changing. I go and select the directory again. gns3 test eMoney PR CCNA Labs, and select the folder. Now everything is okay. I click on OK, and the project is getting saved. And you can go to that folder and see what you see there. Go to gns3 folder, test, to eMoney, to PRCCNA, and you can see that we have a working directory. This is the directory that it saves its, snapshots here. It saves its RAM or anything that you have in your router. But the very important thing is this. The topology.net is a file that is text-based. I want to open it in the next section and show you how you can change the, topology.net file and the config folder. Whenever you see a config folder, you have CFG files, configuration files. I open this using Notepad. This is text-based folder, of course, and I open this with Notepad, and you can see that the router configuration is here. Whatever command you see here is saved by your routers. Now I'm going to work with files in the next section, of course.